How's everybody doing? Um, well, it seems like a lot of you guys did not maybe took in that Cosmo video. Had very low views, but I'm I have the faith that it will resonate at some point, in your lives. Um, if it doesn't resonate, then it may resonate tomorrow. These things, you gotta let it sink in, sink in. And that way, I like you be like, oh, is that all? Is that it? Of course, absolutely it is. Coffee, really, a cappuccino. I got tons of cards. For example, when we do the past life, we not everyone has a history in Egypt. So I had to get the African deck, which deals with the whole continent, right? Alright. Uh, I got the Atlantean epoch, right? You know which one that is. Uh-huh. And I got the Egyptians, you know that. I got the for the Slavic races, the Celt. I got court cards for those who are in court. No? Lemuria. And spirit will guide me as to which deck to use for those of you who want free past life readings. And then, of course, we have the Celtic Druid Irish, which is this one. So that covers most of the homogeneity of the races as they occurred, um, you know, throughout the history of mankind. Oh, yeah, yeah. I still could not find my glasses. I'm gonna have to go and buy one and do the best I can with Mr. Magoo. Isn't that terrible? Hmm. I can't put this cappuccino down. You know, I don't know what I like better, the caramel frappuccino or the hot. I like them kind of both. Okay. Any questions you guys may have had concerning the video you guys saw? Was it too intense? Was it too hard? Uh, you know, um, there's a lot more to say. This might turn out to be like a part, part three, part four, and part five. It's a lot. But you know what? The ones that will benefit from this type of reading will be those who like to astral travel, astral projection, and like to go to all different timelines and worlds. Uh, and understanding those basic building blocks of knowledge concerning the formation and structure and the origin of the cosmos uh, can come in real handy for those of you who are venturing through and in between these dimensions. You need to know what they're made of, how they spawned. It's good to have. This is again what's meant um, by taking the steps of initiation, because that's also a form of separation. We'll talk about that, in those videos. Okay. So let's see who's here. Who's here? It takes a minute to come up. You know how it is, right? It's a live time. Oh, we see one. Okay. Tanya Spiegel, how are you? Cherry Blossom, how are you? So I gotta press it again so it can come up again. Isn't it terrible? It's terrible. Okay, one person here. Uh, Radha Diamond. Vanessa, how are you? Nestia, hers way. How are you? Decca, cool. How are you? Cheryl Gray, candles and broomstick. Ah, okay. Sabrina, the Pisces queen. How are you? Lots of love to you guys too. Okay. Elisa, well, how's the color? How is skin color measured then in natural selection? This falls under the archaeological, anthropological studies by looking at bones, connecting certain elements to the earth, and bringing the history of where they may have um, morphed, like a genetic mutation that seems to be in sync with the morphology of nature, you know. But then again, the skin has its own protective mechanism, and melanin is one of those chief protective mechanisms that actually depletes once someone moves away from an environment of such melanin and intense heat. This is why there was a migratory period in the human history where races moved around intermarry as the earth shaped and reformed. There were times when the earth was very, very hot, and there were times where there was a polar ice age or polar freeze, and that caused the whitening of the races. So a lot of this is what I meant when I said measured. These factors have to be measured and then based on a reference that is acceptable by science. When it comes to spirituality, we spiritualists or master magicians or those who are initiates, and shamans, we may present a different story. And then you have religion, which also presents another story, you know? So, I mean, the Tower of Babel is an example where spiritually mankind was struck and he began to speak different languages. And as they dispersed, they took hold of whatever morphology and topography of the terrain uh, awarded them. And that became the template for the rise of culture as it is differentiated among the races. Uh, that's something that's non-scientific, biblical, so it's not going to be accepted by science, social sciences. So they're going to present a whole different theory that borders along the lines of Darwinism, and then spirituality presents another perspective, and that is that all of the races were 12 at one time, not it's six, and there was a homogeneity of the races. The different colors and the different features of each race is indicative of the morphology of their topographical environment, meaning that if it's snowing and cold, it's going to be white for the most part. If it's hot and tropical, it'll be dark or Semitic or even Middle Eastern. It also depends on those factors have to be put in place because it has been proven by science that these things do cause a difference in change of pigmentation over hundreds of thousands of years depending on the migratory status of those particular cultures, and also the morphology of the earth. If it stands still and it doesn't change too much the climate, that will affect also the morphology of the races. So it can be both. Oh, that was a lot. Ooh, let me take a little bit of that coffee. Let's see. Are people reborn in different races? Yes, they are. Or no matter what place in the superpower are Native Americans out of the 12 races. I personally don't know that. I never really put too much attention in studying those measures. But now that you mentioned it, I certainly will. Was Uncle Fernando so familiar with the Inspector Gadget on? Listen, I gotta keep it interesting, right? Even though I actually really can't see, uh, because of the cloudiness of the light, and I have to use it. Well, I miss Mr. Magoo. Give it a little character. Okay. Hey, how are you? Who else is in here? Who else is in here? Who else? Hi, how are you? Places. What sign of the zodiac is the seventh day of creation? It doesn't go that way, though. You would think that it would, but that's not how it goes. But it's a great way to think, though. I don't dismiss the thought or the question because it is a legitimate question. Um, Let me see if I can reread that again. Oh, this is terrible. I can't read. What did he say? What was it? What sign of the zodiac is the seventh day of creation? Um, I would say Taurus. Taurus. Fixed Earth. The actual globe itself. Let's see what else. Is it possible to have visions of the immediate past life? Absolutely. Think about it. Nothing is lost in the universe. There's always a record of something, someone, or an experience, a past life experience that doesn't disappear or go away just because you're living in another age and another time. Because if that was the case, there would be no Akashic records. Remember, the Akashic record has records of all experiences that defines the cosmos, both visible and invisible. So everything is going to be there and nothing is lost. And anything can be retrieved provided that you have the right skill and training and intent. They all cosmic curiosity, they all correspond to the chakras, but that in itself doesn't answer the questions of races and colors and things like that. That's just a fact that is true, but not pertinent to understanding the question or giving an answer pertaining to that other question that was given. But yes, the chakras do align themselves with the bodies and the planets. Is the brown race darker or lighter than the red race? Uh, it's a misnomer. There's no definitive demarcation when one race being one color and then switching to another because of the different interactions or experiences that it may go through. Um, it's just not measured that way. Yes, I do know about Uranus and Neptune in Aquarius. And unfortunately, because we don't know much about Neptune and we don't know much about Uranus, and there haven't been, or there never was, any astrologers in those days to write about it, let alone see it, it's that's something that we have to learn about these planets by observing where they are now and where they were in the last 30 years ago, where some charts, like on the ascendant or the 10th house or the 7th house, if you find them there, they might give clues, not so much because of the planets, but because of the houses and signs. The energy of these planets is still quite complex to understand. Neptune being the most elusive. It has to be done by studying each individual chart case by case. We cannot even compare it to other members born in the same generation because you would think that there's a trend, but even in generational astrology, we don't. There's a lot of broken uh, parallels, and we do know there's a pattern to them. We just haven't found it yet. To the satisfaction of actually saying Uranus in Sagittarius will cause this to anyone that has Uranus in Sagittarius. It's just not true. Not true at all. And we don't understand why. But we're figuring it out. That's why I need more astrologers so that to join my school or any other school and learn how to decode this. Because then people like me, when we cross over, there'll be nobody else to do it. That's why I opened the school. Okay. Was Lilith really a Capricorn? That question has never been asked in astrology. We don't know. Lilith is really associated with Cancer, the moon. Its opposite is Capricorn, and that's true in principle because we know it is. But does that mean that Lilith was Capricorn? She would most likely have been Cancer, since Lilith faces the moon, but because the Earth itself is an element of Earth, and Capricorn is an Earth sign, it can also be Capricorn. So it can actually be both. That's a very good question. Very impressive. Very impressive. Very impressive. You're very welcome. Free gift from God. Yes. Won't Lilith be the first mother? So, yeah, Cancer. Yeah, you just answer your own question, my darling. Yes, it's Cancer. The terrible mother, the crone, the whore, and the maiden. The three phases of femininity, which is governed by the moon. So, yes, you're right. You answered your own question. I love it. You guys are thinking. Please talk about Saturn's what? Let's see, let's see. Okay. You say here, please talk about Saturn's ruling 2024. It'll be in Aries. It'll be in Aries for 2.5 years. It's no great ruling than it did in 2022 when it was in Pisces. You know, Saturn is important, but it depends on what he's doing in the birth chart. Hmm. Is the rising sign of the current life the past life sun sign? No, it's not. But the sign on the ascendant now will be the sign of the next life. You're going to be, for example, my rising sign is Libra. So in my next life, my sun sign will be Libra. So the sign on the ascendant determines the sign, the sun sign of the next life. hmm If we go, but Capricorn is the first, so Lilith is the first. The first of what? The first of what? Because Capricorn is not the first if we're talking about the principles of creation. That will be Aries, the divine spark. It won't be Capricorn. Although I can see Capricorn manifesting the end result of that creation. Like somebody said, it said the when it reaches the seventh day of creation, what sign is it? Somebody said Cancer, and they could be right. Because that's the devil, that's Earth, cardinal, that's completion of carbon matter, which Saturn, or the devil, and Capricorn represent in principle. Okay, okay. If I wanted to reach you for a private consultation, would the best be? No, I never said tell you guys to do email. You always have to call 281-690-8825. If you email me, you'll never get me because I'll never open those emails because of the hacking and all that. So we have to abandon them until further notice. We're gonna have to redo them or get a whole different account. So, yeah, I was told by my technical person that there were hundreds of emails, birth charts. I had never knew anything about them, but that's not how I advertise them. You have to call or text. They will never be known if you use email. That's why I don't mention email at all. The advice that I have to give you for those of you who are approaching the Saturn return cycle, age 29, first of all, congratulations for surviving age 27, and you're not a member of the 27 club, right? So that's the lunation of the moon. It will happen again at 54, and the second Saturn return will occur at 56, 57. I'm 56, so I'm going through it now. So my best luck for you. Oh, the battery. Don't tell me. I have to plug in the charger. And this charger don't work. I have to go here. The best thing I can say is don't take it personal. Um, Allow the experience to happen, and know that at the end of the day, Saturn's return is to challenge you, uh, teach you, and also fortify you. And yes, it does it in fucked up ways. It do. But in the end, it's supposed to be done this way because the universe has allowed it to happen that way. So there is a something to be learned through Saturn's severity, which occurs at its strongest at the return cycle, 29, 56, like I'm going through it. You know, I've gone through a lot of this shit. This is Saturn, but I'm strong enough to handle it. You know, I know that every return, every 30 years, it gets tougher, but it builds character and fortifies spirit. Guys, call for a reading, call for 25 if you want to, and I'll come back and maybe we can do some past lives reading. The number is 281-690-8825. You can call for your 25 because the phone is going to die. I'm at 10% battery. And, so when I plug it in, then I'll call and do a reading. And, if you want to do it live or personal, you can do that. Make sure you donate and give in Cash App and ZELLE. 281-690-8825 for ZELLE. And Fernando, number 5 after the A, Cash App. Guys, it's still early, so I might do part 3 of the Cosmos. I'm going to go back to the second part and see the response to that video. And then Wait for the calls that I've mentioned earlier for those who are birth charts too. Guys, I hope this helps somebody.